This is Raymond with Vaping 360, hanging out with Doug from Safada, who has a lot to update you on. A lot has been happening in the vaping world with the FDA deeming regulations, the new California laws. Doug's going to tell you all about it and hopefully dispel some of the misinformation that's going on. Doug, you've been a busy man. What is happening in a nutshell?
That's an understatement. What's happening in a nutshell is we have two sets of regulations that basically were, the California laws were signed the day before the FDA deeming regs were published. So we've got a lot to kind of disseminate in the last week or so, and it's an uphill battle for sure.
Right. It's going to take a lot of work, but there are some people that say this is the end for vaping when it's not really the end. It's just a very difficult challenge.
I think the worst case scenario is it's the end. If the federal regs are enacted and they're not changed, you're looking at 99.9% of the vapor businesses that are in business today being out of business within 2 years. So that's striking a lot of fear in people, and it should. Not only ourselves, but a lot of the advocates in the industry have been telling people for the better part of 3 years that these things were coming and there was nothing that was going to prevent them from coming. And now they're here. We didn't know exactly what they'd look like. I think we had a very good idea based on what was published in 2014 as to the basic framework of what they were going to look like, and that's what they are. And there are some things in there that aren't as bad as we initially thought they would be. There's no ban on internet sales. There's no ban on flavors. However, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to ship online. And, a lot of this kind of overlaps with what California is doing. And, what we're trying to do right now is figure out exactly how all of this impacts the industry, impacts store owners, impacts wholesalers, impacts manufacturers. We're going through the regs. The attorneys for Safada, the law firm that represents Safada, is painstakingly going through all of the regs, and they're 500 pages, right. And they're looking for loopholes, and they're looking for weak spots, and they're looking for contradictions that they can exploit so that if there's a basis to pursue some legal remedies for some of the things we're facing right now, that we'll be able to do that. At the same time, we're also pursuing, I think, the more logical path, and it gives us a higher rate of success is through the legislative pathway. The Cole-Bishop Amendment right now is going through Congress, and it's an amendment that's been attached to the appropriations bill that basically funds the FDA. And what this amendment says is that in order for the FDA to be able to enforce these regulations, they have to push the grandfather date up to the date that the deeming regs were actually implemented, which we know now will be around August 8th or August 9th of this year.
And the other thing people have to be concerned about is HR 2058. Did I get the number right?
Yeah, no, HR 2058 is the actual Cole bill. So the bill we have been able to secure through the efforts of multiple organizations. We've been able to secure, I think, about 50 sponsors was the last count. In order for a bill to have real teeth in Congress, you have to have upwards of about 100 to 150 sponsors before it's going to be seriously considered. A lot of people were very hesitant to support this bill because they wanted to see what the deeming regs were going to look like before they made a commitment one way or the other. So one thing that we do have in our favor is because the deeming regs were so harsh and so over the top, we feel very strongly that we're going to get some significant support for that bill now, because politicians are seeing the ramifications and the unintended consequences of the deeming regs, and they're going to recognize that these regs are going to end up costing jobs, costing lives, because it's going to push people back to smoking. You're going to, you're really going to limit a person's ability to be able to get a quality product that's going to help them, ultimately quit smoking.
Doug, one of the things that's a big concern to medium and small size vaping companies is PMTA. Would you explain to consumers what PMTA is and why it's a threat to these small and medium sized companies?
Well, to summarize, the PMTA, which stands for the Pre-Market Tobacco Product Application, is the angel of death for the small and mid-sized businesses. It is a very costly and very detailed application process that the FDA uses to approve new products for the market. Based on what we know, an average PMTA involves about 1,500 to 1,700 hours of work, man hours, to get all of the information gathered to be able to submit. The cost associated with that is anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million+ per SKU. So, let's take Chewy Clouds for example. Right here we have 2 flavors. We have a third flavor. We offer 3 nicotine levels and then 0. So the 0 milligrams would be exempt from the PMTA process because they're not considered a tobacco product. It doesn't have a tobacco extract and it doesn't have nicotine. So I'd have to do 9 SKUs. Each one of those SKUs on average would be $1 million. Right? So, but here's the real problem. Say we can pull $9 million out of the tree out in front of our facility here, and we go and spend that money, and we do all the clinical trials, and we do all of the testing and the statistical research that they want. We spend the $9 million and we submit our application to the FDA. The common misconception is that by spending the money, it means that you're approved, and that could not be farther from the truth. So the FDA gets our application and they look and they go, well, this is all well and good, but this is a bubblegum flavor. And even though their data may suggest that it would have a minimal impact on minors, it's a bubblegum flavor. We feel it would have a significant impact on minors and probably increase the odds of uptake. We're going to deny it. So they would deny our application, and then I'm out $9 million.
So it basically looks like the government is putting these companies out of business, because I can't imagine medium-sized companies, and definitely not small-sized companies, being able to afford multi-million-dollar testing.
There's more than one pathway. There's the PMTA, and then there's one called the substantial equivalent. It's not as expensive. It's only 50 to 100 grand per product. But going down that road, you have to show that your product is substantially equivalent to a product that's already been on the market, which in this case would be that one product they've identified as being on the market before 2007. Well, nothing on the market today is substantially equivalent to that one product. Right. Even though we don't even know what that product is, it's a safe assumption on everybody's part that they're not. And e-liquids, the second you change one flavor or component or percentage of a flavor in a recipe, it's not equivalent.
I want to talk to you about some premature reactions some people might be having. There are some vapors out there that are just buying up everything in sight. Is that premature?
Yes. You're going to have 2 years to continue to buy products. Right now, the way it stands, we still have so many avenues available to us to fight this. It is certainly premature to all of a sudden want to just go out and stock up on 5 years worth of liquid. This is just the beginning of the fight. I mean, a lot of people seem to think that because these regs hit, that's it, game over. And in fact, that is not the case. SFATA's opinion at the moment is that the easiest path forward is to continue to pursue the legislative solution, get the grandfather date pushed back. That being said, we also recognize there are a lot of people out there that want to litigate. And what we're trying to advise people of doing is take into consideration that before you go out and blow all this money, make sure that you're taking precautions and that you're putting your money behind the right fight. There's going to be 100, probably 1,000 lawsuits, whatever. You want to make sure that you put your money behind the one that has the best chance of being successful. So, the first lawsuit's already dropped. NicoPure submitted their lawsuit yesterday, and we applaud them for it. That's the first of many. I mean, I personally know of at least 6 or 7 that are going to drop within the next 3 months, and I know that I am severely understating that because I'm sure there's going to be a lot.
There are a lot of readers at Vaping 360 that are looking for answers right now. And as you said, there's a lot of legislative and legal action that's yet to take place. It hasn't even been a full week to digest this 500-page document. Is it fair to say that nobody has all the answers right now?
No, and nobody will have all the answers. I'll tell you that right now. The advocate organizations and the trade associations that represent this industry, CASA, SFATA, AVA, even like the guys at Not Blowing Smoke, the guys at Vaping Militia, you've got the newer VTA. You know, I would suggest to people to, you know, wait and hear it from those organizations, because they have direct contact with the people in the know. You know, SFATA is working directly with lobbyists, the FDA, congressmen, senators up on the Hill, working through this. You know, and they've had an ongoing relationship with all of those different bodies. It's those organizations, and it's that level of contact really that you're going to get the best information. And unless you're working at that level, you know, I am very hesitant, and I take everything that I see on Facebook with a grain of salt. It isn't until I actually hear it from, you know, the head of CASAA, the head of SFATA, you know, Greg Connolly, or any number of the, you know, those people that are working this problem. You know, unless I hear it from them, I take it with a grain of salt.
Doug, I'm going to get you out here on this. While people are waiting to get the best information from the best people, what actions can they take while they're waiting?
Well, one, you know, join one of these organizations. Okay, if you're a consumer, join CASAA. Go to CASAA.org, join, you know, contribute. You know, if you can contribute a few dollars, please do, because all of these organizations need money to be able to afford the resources it's going to take to fight this. If you're a business owner, I highly recommend that you join the Smoke-Free Alternative Trade Association, SFATA, which is you know, the trade association for the vapor industry. Support AVA and not blowing smoke. You know, AVA, Greg Connolly does great work on you know, being a spokesperson for the industry and really getting our message out there. Not Blowing Smoke has been a great advocacy organization, cutting through a lot of the misinformation and lies, and bringing the truth to the vapor community as a whole. Even AMSA. I mean, AMSA's been working very hard with liquid manufacturers over the years to create quality standards to make sure that our products are as safe as they can possibly be, and that they are manufactured to the highest quality. So I would recommend that. The other thing you could do is really, it's political action. You could go and support your vape shops. Support the businesses that you have been using to buy your vapor products. You know, your favorite vape shop, your favorite online store. Continue to give them your business. This industry isn't coming to an end. Support them. The other thing is to develop a relationship with your elected officials, you know, whether it be your local city council members, your state senators or representatives, or your U.S. congressmen and U.S. senators. You know, in California, it's important for you to have a relationship with all of those, because we're under constant threat. I think on a national level, finding out who your congressman is for your particular where you live, finding out who your U.S. senators are, calling their offices, letting them know that, you know, you vape, the impact that vaping has had on the quality of your life, especially if you are a former smoker, if it helped you to quit. We really want consumers and business owners contacting their elected officials, especially in Washington with their congressmen and senators, to urge them to support the Cole-Bishop Amendment and urge them to support H.R. 2058 to push the grandfather date forward to 2016 to allow all of the innovative products that have been developed since 2007 that are helping so many people right now.
Doug, thank you so much for your time and for fighting the good fight. If you want to keep up with these issues and catch the best vaping reviews, guides, and features, go to Vaping 360, the home of vaping.